Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. It's Kim here and it is Techniques Tuesday and also known as Junk Journal Back to Basics. And so I think we're on part 4-ish. The number will be in the video title. And so if you're watching this for the first time, you do have to go back to the beginning of the playlist, and there is a playlist called Techniques Tuesday. So we've got our books put together, right? Yay! And collaged, and our pages are in Midori style. And we already made our first pocket by putting 2 pages together. And I made a little flip out, and I think that was your homework. Oh, I see this is gaping a little bit. I'm going to have to glue that down better. And we have our first journal card in here. Now, this first signature, if you made 3, this first signature, we're going to do mostly different types of pockets for now. And then we will move on to the second signature and do other things in that, and the third signature and do other things in that as well. But for now, we've got, if you made the 12 pages, folded in half, that's 24 pages, but we did lose one because we glued this together, so we still have 11 pages, and then we have 11 more on this side in the same signature, so we still have another 22 pages. 22? Yeah. 22, 23, 24. 11, no, 10 and 10. We have 20 pages, sorry. 20, 21, 22, and then 23, 24 is the other folded pocket on this side. And I've also got my flapping on there as well. So the next thing is to start doing some basic pockets. But what I wanted to talk about is, like, some of you used a nice paper, I'm sure, although nobody has said that they have. And some of you have used scrapbook papers and digital papers. That's entirely up to you. I'm using this as a techniques book, and I know it's not going anywhere, so I don't want to waste my good paper when I've got mountains of other stuff to play with. But what I would like to see you do while you're using this book is make some notes for yourself on how you've done these different things. I mean, hopefully my playlist will be up forever, so you can refer back to it. But, you know, sometimes you just want to maybe make sure you write down what you did or how you did it. So give yourself some space, or use these different pockets as a place to hold all your measurements. You know, you could write it on a scratch piece of paper or on a journal card on the back. You could write how you made your journal card. And so just give yourself notes to go with these things, because, you know, 5 years from now, you're not going to remember, although some of this is going to be basic stuff. But as we get more complicated and start doing measurements, oh, I hate measurements, but as we start doing measurements and certain folds and using different techniques, you may want to keep track of those methods. So that's entirely up to you, but I suggest that you use the pockets as a means of storing information about what you did. So our very next pocket that we're going to do is going to be very simple. And I just grabbed a piece of wallpaper that I had on my table, and I grabbed just a plain piece of, well, this is a digital paper, but it's like a scrapbook paper. So something a little bit more decorative that you can use in your book if you want. And this piece here is approximately 5 inches by 4 inches, which is kind of the standard size for making pockets. Although sometimes I make them down to 4.5 inches and 4 inches. So I'm going to cut mine down to 4.5 by 4. Yeah, mine is 4, and right now it's sitting at 5. So I'm just going to take my ruler and tear it down about 1/2 inch. And of course we keep all these little scraps. And same with this one. It is, well, it's sitting at 4.5 already, so I'm just going to tear it down to about 4 inches. Now, you don't have to make your pockets 4 inches. You can make them 3.5 inches. You can make them however your paper works out. You know, sometimes your pocket is not so important on your page as just to have a little spot to put something in. And that's pretty crooked to me. I think I better fix that up just a little bit. I'm just going to take my scissors. cut it straight. Now, for a basic simple pocket, it's glue on 3 sides and let the glue set. If you wanted to have a thumb punch out of here, you can use your little circle punch to make a thumb punch. It's pretty obvious that it is a pocket. I don't so much like these little round punches, you know, as small as it is. This is not something I would use it for. I would use this more for like a, you know, like a document envelope or not a coin envelope, or you know, just a little thumb tuck or thumb notch, just to show you that something is getting pulled out of it. For the most part, you know, a pocket like this, you're putting an envelope, or you're putting a larger journal card in, or a large tag. So I don't often do anything to these things. If I was going to do something, you know, I would make a larger circle punch, and I would just use something on my desk. Like I have this glass jar here. So if you want to, I'm just going to move this out of the way for a second. On the back side, I would just, ooh, look at that. There were some beads at the bottom. It's always a surprise with me. I would just trace a little section on the back side of your card, your pocket that you're going to use. And I mean, if you don't have a large thumb punch, this is the alternative. And it's easy enough, and it's on my desk, and I should put everything back here now. And remember, we're doing this right from scratch. Oop, these beads are still going to fly all over the place. Just as if we were, you know, doing this for the very first time as a newbie. And some of you are newbies. So you can just take and you know, cut out your little half moon shape. And I don't like to have these pointy pieces right here. So I just take my scissors and I just trim it round cornered, that little nub, and I do the same on the other side. No measuring. And now I can add this into my book just like that. So we can now see very easily that it is a pocket, and we can add stuff into it as we go along. So then I would still just glue the 3 sides. Now for me, the easiest way to glue 3 sides so that you don't forget and get glue crazy and glue the 4th side is I put my thumb where the thumb notch is, or on the top of the journaling card. Now hopefully my glue is going to work. Of course not. We're on camera, Kim. So you guys really liked my last video, my haul video. It was very, very popular. So hopefully when I get to Manitoba, so I'm just clearing up my glue here. Hopefully when I get to Manitoba, I will have some good thrifty finds there as well. Just taking a pin and cleaning out my glue. I use those little stopper things, but a lot of times they go rusty. And so then here we go. My glue ends up all brown. So I just put the cap back on and hope for the best. So I'm just running a bead of tacky glue around the edge. You can use your art glitter glue. And then, so this is why I keep my thumb here. So I know not to glue in that spot because that's the top. And then just lining it up how I want it to be, and press it into place. Now this is just your basic simple pocket, and we will come back and fill it with something later on in the series, but you can see that you can just easily add something into there. So this same basic pocket, now I'm just going to gently fold this in half. I'm going to give it kind of an angled, can you see I'm just kind of angling up to the corner. This is an alternative to making the round. You can also do it like that, like an envelope. except it's a little cockeyed, so I'm just going to straighten it. You can see I don't measure, I just cut. If I sat here and made sure that everything was perfect, I'd never get anything done. I can go back and trim something if it's not 100%. But this is another alternative to making the very same pocket, and I can turn the page and I can put the pocket on the other page like that, or I can turn it sideways so that it is facing out, and I can now have something tucked in here. In fact, I could have something tucked in here later on with a tab. So let's do the same pocket, just change it up a little tiny bit on the next page. I would leave a whole page here because we're going to be doing other things and we don't want to bulk this up right from the get-go. So, you know, every now and then skip aside and just go on to something else so that we have more room to add other things. So yeah, doing the same thing, but you can see how, you know, I've changed it up by the look, by just how I cut it out. And you can use your decorative scissors, you can tear it, you can do all kinds of fringes on there, but that's when we get into embellishing stuff. So I'm just turning the pocket this way and putting it on the page. I'm going to leave it so that I know a journaling card fits in. So if you made your journaling card, this might be a little bit tight, but something about that size you want it to fit in. I would extend it or go back a little further in your page so that you know you can have something tucked in here. I wouldn't make as big a journaling card, of course, because it doesn't fit the envelope, but it's just another alternative to tuck something larger in if you move it over in the page. If you want something small to go in there, then you would put it this way. And of course, you can also have your item, your journal card going this way to pull out. So it depends on what you think you're going to put in here afterwards. So I'm going to put mine probably about somewhere in the middle. So this way I have room to have it tucked in and not protruding too much outside of the book. Maybe the tab will protrude, but that's about it. So I know I will be limited to the size of card that I can put in here. So same thing, I'm just keeping my thumb where I know not to glue. And just putting some glue around the page. Around the pocket edge here. My glue is not coming out perfectly just yet. It's been sitting here in the basement, and I don't normally have the heat on in the basement until I start working. Just because we don't really need it. So about a third of the way through the page. And just placing it down. It's nice to have this grid mark here that gave me a perfect lineup. And so just like that, I have a second pocket. Okay, so maybe you don't have scrapbook paper. You can use junky papers. You can use envelope paper opened up. You can use brown paper bags. You can use some of the paper that you used for your book to make your pockets. That's entirely up to you. Book pages. But we're going to make another pocket now. I'm going to, again, not put anything on this side. I'm going to put it on this side. And I think I'm going to, you know, I like this map on this page for me personally. So I think I'm going to put the pocket more up here on this next one that I'm going to do. And I'm just going to use some music sheet, but it's book pages. So I'm just tearing out one page. And I want it to be, again, about that 4.5 to 5 inch size. So I'm going to trim this down to 4.5 inches. So I can see on my ruler that I just have to trim down this much here. Okay, so again, it's about 4.5, almost 5 inches, about 4 7/8 in this case. Now, to make my pocket, I only want it to be maybe about a third of the way, or no, little above the halfway mark, because you do want to allow room for stuff to tuck into it. So I'm just going to fold, I'm going to see what it looks like folded in half. Okay, it's a little bit high, and I could trim this down and make it not such a big pocket, but I'm purposely folding this in half. So I'm gonna center this pocket in the middle of the page. Now, like I said, it's your personal taste as to where you want to put it, how you want to put it, if you want to have it going this way. But the idea with this pocket is it's a folded paper on purpose. Okay, and it's approximately, yeah, it still ends up being about that 4-inch size by 5 7/8 sort of. So it's a folded pocket, and the idea is I could glue it completely down and then glue on the 3 sides and, you know, make my thumb notch or whatever it is that I want to do, and call it just a plain pocket. But I think what I'd like to do on this one is I want to be able to flip this open. Okay, and I want to be able to see this map down here, so I don't want to cover it completely. So I am going to only glue the back side on 3 sides. I'm not going to bother to make a thumb notch because it's got a nice fold in here, so I know that whatever I put in here is going to be well protected, and this paper is going to be well protected because book pages are a little bit thinner. So I'm not going to glue the 2 pages together. I'm just going to, holding it from the top, in the back side, I'm going to put glue on the 3 sides, just like we did with the other pockets. You seasoned journal makers must be just bored to tears. Because I know how it's, you know, you've advanced to much more intense pockets, but it's, you know, it doesn't hurt to come back to basics. So again, where my thumb is, I knew not to glue there. I want it to be about, you know, a little ways from the top of the page, but I still want to see most of this map, and I'm going to center mine. And the nice part about tacky glue and art glitter glue and those types of things is that you do have some wiggle room and time to lift up and check and move things around to make sure it's working. So now that I've got this pocket on here, you can see that it is a pocket. So again, I can't have something sticking out too much. I mean, you know, some tabs or something, but you know, I don't want it to be a huge pocket. But what I like about this part is underneath, I now have a spot where I can add some blank paper and use it as another hidden writing spot. And we will do some embellishing on this front edge later on. But for now, we can just go in here and put in a blank piece of paper. And it just so happens that I have the edge of this music book, so I'm going to just take that, although it's a little bit thick. No, I'm going to take something thinner. Sorry to be so wishy-washy, but I have this stuff here, and so I'm just going to cut myself a little. It doesn't have to go right to the edge, of course. And you know what? I actually even like it long, so I can just glue it down to the top of this or glue it down to the music sheet itself, and then fold this up so that it's even folds out even more. Does that make sense? So I'm just going to put glue. I'm going to fold this up first, reasonably straight. And getting my glue paper and my glue stick. Okay, that should do it with the glue. And I'm just going to add this folded paper, making sure that it's within the fold of my pocket. And I see there's a little spot there that I'm going to have to go back and touch up with my glue in that corner. And sometimes you have to do that, especially when we're working with things that aren't quite dry and then you're putting some pressure on it. Okay, so right now all you see is this music sheet, and you lift it up and I have a writing space underneath. As well, I have a pocket right in here. So there's a very simple third pocket that we made in just a matter of seconds. So now I'm going to flip the page again. We're going to leave that to just set. And I'm going to just completely leave a page out and go on to this page here. And again, I'm going to take a music sheet or a book page, same kind of idea. And you've seen me do this before. Actually, here's the back of the book page. It's just an index. So I'm going to trim this one down. I already know that it trims down to about here. Okay, and you know, all these little strippy pieces, we're going to keep them because we're going to use them all. So same book page, same size book page that I used on this one, except instead of folding it in half, I'm going to fold it loosely into thirds. With my little flappy, just like making an envelope almost, not quite thirds, sort of you make a flap for an envelope and then you open it up and we will have a writing space inside. So it still ends up being a pocket that is about 3 inches with a writing space hidden inside again. So that now I'm going to put on this page here. But before I put it in, I'm going to do my writing space. And first tear it straight, or reasonably straight. And see where my fold is so that I know where to tear it. That it will sit inside the journal. Now I can also fold this one up if I wanted to keep it and have more writing space, but for this time around I'm just going to do the one. And I don't want it to be quite as wide, so I'm just going to take my scissors and trim it down a little bit. I don't mind if the writing shows from something else underneath, but this is where I'm going to glue this piece. So it's almost the exact same thing, except now that it looks more like an envelope instead of a folded in half pocket. And then I have this writing space underneath. And when we're finished decorating, you've seen me decorate these before, you know, with playing cards and stuff like that, and collage snippets and bits. So we will eventually get to that as well, but for now it's just a matter of gluing this piece down and then putting my thumb where I don't want to glue and gluing the 3 sides of the pocket down. So I'm going to go ahead and do that with you watching me. Hope it's not too boring. So you can see why I say I don't know why anybody has book pages left over. I use them for everything. Now I could also use this side of the paper, but I kind of like the lines. It gives the idea that you're going to write on it. And if you don't have lined paper and you want lined paper, a pencil and a ruler and just make your own lines. You're only going to make 3 or 4 lines to fit on your journal page or on your journal card. So don't feel shy to just quickly take out your pencil and do it yourself. And you can do something decorative too. Okay, so this is now going to, I'm just going to burnish it a little bit here. So this is now going to fold up. Get this out of the way. And be a pocket on this next page. Where did I go? Here we go. So it's almost telling me that I should use this little part because it's got this nice square right there. So I think that's exactly where I'm going to put it. It now covers up the number on here. It covers up this part. And who knows what we're going to put inside yet in the future. I love that moon. Totally by accident. Or Earth. I guess it's Earth. Yeah, I think it was the world. So all I'm going to do now is, again, grabbing it by the top, turning it over. I'm going to put glue on the 3 sides. Okay. And then just covering those numbers. So eventually we will have something on here that weighs down the paper or closes the envelope. And then you open it up. There is a writing space, but it's hidden inside. And then you still have pocket. And as I had mentioned, we are going to decorate these pages. We're going to do all kinds of things. So right now it's just about getting some of these techniques and started and making these different things. But already we've got now 4 pockets in here that we didn't have when I started. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, I do have a little set of notes here I just want to go through quickly, so that I don't forget to show you a couple more things. Okay. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to talk about filling these pockets, because as we go along, you know, it's fine to make all these pockets, but then we got to go back and fill them. So we're going to start filling them with different ephemera that we make along the way and different methods of making ephemera. So I am going to have some homework for you. You're going to have to do your 4 pockets, of course. But your homework is to make a master board or a collage board. So I'm just going to put this book aside for now and take out my glue pad. And a collage board or a master board is just made up of scraps. And you've seen my little master board. This is the one I keep on my desk, and I add as I go along. I take all the leftover scraps when I'm done doing something, and I try to glue it right away. Unless I have a lot, then I will pile them up. But I will glue on a page, like this is all done in shades of blue. And then I will go back, and if I have a sticker left over, I will stick that on. You've seen me work in this book before. And then on the other side of the page, I glue blank paper so that I can take this out of the book and cut it into 2 journaling cards, or a large tag, or a journaling card and a small tag, whatever I want to cut them up. And they're pretty basic at this point, so I can still, you know, they're kind of color coordinated. Sometimes I do theme coordinated, depending on what I have. And they're basic at this point so that I can add more stuff to it. So here I had a bunch of these. I had some spice jars that I was washing because I wanted the jars for other things. And all the labels came off, and they came off in such a perfect condition. And some of them were stained because whoever used the spices, you know, there was stains on it. But it just aged the items so nicely. And this says red chilies, but the colors were in the greens, so I added onto this page. And same with here, I had a sticker or a stamp sticker of a butterfly that just kind of blended in with these colors. So I just add odds and ends as I go along. This is all done in strips, leftover bits, And I always try to collage the back right away too. Now these are all done with larger pieces of paper, but this one is done in scrappy bits. You know, here I had an image of a ruler and it was just in my way, so I stuck it on, and so on and so forth. So I can show you these all day long. I do these all the time. Now this one I started with some blue, and I just had a couple pieces of loosely blue colors that I was going to add in with this. Just haven't had 5 minutes to sit down and work on one of these. And you know, sometimes I don't have enough blue, so I just leave it as it is and go on to the next page, and you can see brown paper bags and so on and so forth. So the idea with the collage masterboards is to use up your scraps and bits, and it doesn't have to be all book pages or all colors. It's whatever you have on your desk that you want to get rid of and use up. So I just happen to have, you know, some book pages, and I grabbed some scrapbook papers too. Here they are. Just a few pages, just because I want to use up these books. So I'm going to take one of that, and here, maybe one of these. And let's do it's pretty plain. Let's do a third one here. So it's scrapbook paper. Maybe it's you know, you have some wallpaper. Maybe you have some wrapping paper or music sheets or napkins, whatever you have on hand. And I like to work out of a magazine. Normally, this is my regular size go-to book, but I just happen to have this other date book that wasn't ever going to get used because the pages were, you know, too marked up. So I figured, well, I'll use this as making my master boards, and then I can just grab and tear one out whenever I need it. But it's kind of fun. I want to almost see how long it'll take me to fill the whole thing, and then because there's a lot of pages in here, and then what it'll look like when it's all done. So that's kind of my pet project. But I just take any kind of magazine, and I normally like to start with the last page, but you know, that one always gets a little raggedy looking, so the second last page is where I will start, because this will be long term. And so I open up the book and I start collaging with my junky papers and my book pages first. And while I'm working on here, I use this to glue on. Okay. So I've got this page, and I'm just going to tear some of this up. And it doesn't have to be all different. It doesn't have to be all the same. It's whatever you have. And then I just tear off the rough edges so that it doesn't leave bumps in the glue when you're gluing. And I've got a music sheet here on the little bit different sheets, so I'm going to use some of that. And I have that little strip that I cut off of that pocket, and I have this other piece here that I can use. Okay, so that should be enough to get us started. Cut this up a little bit more. Okay, now the same with my little colored pages here. I'm going to take these and I'm just going to tear them up into, you know, I'm going to leave some long ones, so half the page, and then I'm going to tear up some small ones. And then my glue stick is here. I just proceed to start gluing. And this is how I make a master board every time. You know, it's whatever I have. And I start at the back of the book, and there is rhyme and reason to it. And I go as close to the center, or to the signature center as possible. gluing it down and then burnishing it with my glue cap, because that's my favorite thing to use. And I just find, like, I go different directions, I overlap them. I don't worry if I've used the same page, because by the time we're done, it's going to look so different. And I do have a tendency to do around the outside first, but for this, oh, I grabbed 2 sheets here. I see that now. Oh no, I guess not. I guess it was glued together somehow. Okay. Just a thicker page. But just for the sake of this video, I'm just going to do part of it. And yeah, I use all the scraps, all the little bits. And then I don't bother always to do the whole thing in book page. Sometimes I just go right into my scrapbook papers right away, because otherwise you're double gluing. But if all I have is book pages, then I will do the whole thing and then just do the accent colors afterwards. Now, it's a little hard to do when it's the first page in the book. I'm going to put my other glue pad just underneath here to make it a little bit more level. There we go. And if things are sticking up, like you can see here, there's a little bit sticking up, I will just, you know, I don't care. It's going to get covered up anyway, and you're not going to see glue stick marks. And then a little bit of this purple. And I'm going to go on and on and on, but this is enough for today. I'm just going to do a few more little bits, just because I think you get the idea, right? And my glue is mucking up on me because I think I caught it with the... And let's add another piece of purple. Yeah, just did it again. Keep catching my glue because I'm going over the edge. Because I'm doing this in a hurry. Okay. Just fix that up. And I'm going to add another piece of this floral there. My poor glue stick. And yes, I actually do glue right on my page as well. Going to the edge, and I don't worry too much if it goes over the edge, but I will continue to fill this page. Now, where I've got just this book page here, I will add this little piece right on top. And I'm going to go right to the corner there. And I will continue to fill this whole page just like that with these bits and pieces. But when you're working with your accent colors and other things that you want to add in, I try to add a little bit here and there throughout, so that no matter how you cut it up, you're going to have part of that purple and part of that gold in there no matter what. So I would add a piece of gold in there, you know, something here. and then just keep adding more purples and more florals until the whole thing is filled. So this just gives you an idea of what it might look like. And then this way, when I go to cut it up, it doesn't matter how I cut it up. I'm going to have a little bit of this purpley pink color in here, a little bit of the gold, and a little bit of the book pages. So on the back side, now normally I've already done the back side, because when I work on this page, I right away do the back for the next one. So this would be what gets glued down, is any kind of blank paper that I have. It could be part of an envelope that I could glue down here, you know, not in the full size like this, but a piece of the envelope. It can be a piece of other book page. This music sheet had some stuff here that is plain, so I can use this to glue onto the other side of the page. Brown paper bags, whatever I have. And so that when you turn the page over, like this one, when it's done, it will already have the back done, which is why I normally start on this side, and I do start the outside usually on my own. But this will already be done when you go to cut out the page. Because while I'm decorating on this page, I do this page so that when I turn this over and I start working on here, my page is already done. Now, I may have this page that I'm working on, and when I find a piece of blank page, I will right away glue it onto here. So I might use a Post-it note that I have. I'm not going to really use one, but I might use one on here. If I was using one, because sometimes I write on these and then I use the back side. So while I'm gluing on here, I might be putting the back on for the next one. And the reason for that is I may run out of purple, and I know that I need more purple stuff, or I don't know what I'm doing with this page. So then I can continue by doing the back on this one and start doing the next collage sheet that I want to do. So maybe I want to do a sheet of green or a sheet of purple or a pink or blue or whatever afterwards. And then as I find a piece of paper, as I find some purple paper, I can go, oh yeah, I got some more purple paper. I will just paper clip it into the book here. And then whenever I have a chance to work, I can come back and work on this page. I can start a new page, but I always try to keep the backs done, randomly at the same time as I'm doing this, so that by the time I get to this page, the back is already ready. And same with this one. So I will go back and get caught up on these, just like I have in this book. So I'm going to sort of explain that again. You can see this was just all done with strips. This could be like a washi tape afterwards, but it does have the back sides done on it. And so on some cases, I'm already ahead because I have more backs done, because I had little scrappy bits that I've added on and I haven't done the fronts yet. So I had a brown paper bag to finish off, and I just continued to do that. And then I got kind of glue happy on here and did the wrong side. So I started decorating on that side. And here's one of those Post-it notes that I had written on, so I said I was going to use that in a page. But this just gives you an idea how I prepare both the backs and the fronts so that when a page is done, it is completely ready and it's nice and thick and ready to use in my journals. So I hope that explains my method of doing a masterboard. Everybody else has different methods, and you may not want to do the back side of a masterboard if you're going to cut it up and use it as elements on your page for other reasons. But I have a tendency to use it for making into tags and journal cards. That's typically what I use my masterboards for. So what I would like you to do is find a magazine and get started making your masterboards. And next week, or not next week, the next Tuesday that we have our techniques, we will start cutting up a masterboard to make things to go in those pockets of our journal. So we will make some journal cards. just like we did this one we did with the glue page, but we will make some journal cards using the masterboards, and we'll make some tags and maybe a few other little goodies as well. So that's your homework, is to make, or part of your homework is to make your masterboard. And if you can, make 2 masterboards, because then we can cut them up in different ways. So have a couple masterboards ready. I will work on mine when I have a chance, but it'll be a couple weeks before we get to that. And the other homework you have is to get, at least 1, if not 2 pockets done with some decorative paper, your scraps of scrapbook paper or wallpaper or anything decorative that you have. And then to make a flip up one pocket that has the pocket, and then it flips up to have some note paper, whatever size note paper you want. And then your next homework is to make one that is sort of an envelope style, that flips open, has the writing space, and then has a place to tuck in a piece of paper for, a tag or paper or a journaling card. Now, that's, again, only part of your homework. But from now on, these are simple pockets. You can always have a little box where you say, oh, that's a perfect size for a plain pocket. So you can start setting aside those kinds of papers and making a round opening, and making where I folded it in half and just cut on a diagonal. So you can have a couple of those ready. And when I say a couple, at least 10. And hopefully you color coordinate them that they will work in your journals when you're making a new journal. And then I would like you to have 10 of these flip out pockets done in this style, and 10 of these done in this style to add to your new ephemera box. And maybe you haven't made an ephemera box yet, but if you have seen my ephemera storage boxes, you've got lots of time, because I'm off for 2 weeks, so you have nothing else to do. If you're just doing the techniques book, then you need something to do. You could make your ephemera box and get that ready to go. And you can start by making 10 spares of your basic flip out envelope pockets with nothing on it, and 10 of your folded book page pockets with the paper in as well. And then have 10 of these set aside, or 10 of each if you're so inclined. And then by then you'll have used up some glue and glue pages, like your basic glue pages. So maybe you could make 10 journal cards that just have the book pages on them, just like doing a masterboard, and have the paper back and nothing on it. They'll just be the book pages and the back ready to go. So you could have 10 journal cards ready to go too. So that's a lot of stuff. But if you do all that, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different types of ephemera times 10. That's 50 pieces of ephemera that you would have ready to go for your journals, plus at least do 2 of your masterboards to the basics, where it's got some book pages and some basic color on it, just with whatever you have. Now, when you're working in magazines like this, you have to also consider that you're going to come across a page that has something interesting. I like this where it says homepage. But you might have something that is interesting that you want to cut out. Like, that's a cute little picture. So, oh, can you imagine having that on your toilet tank? Yikes. Yikes. But you might find a cute little picture that you want to cut out. Well, then I would just tear out this page. I wouldn't go right to tearing the whole thing out, because then your book falls apart, but cut it, close to the edge, and then keep whatever items you want to keep. And then you can always fold this up into smaller cards that you can collage on. This is a cute little bed with the quilts on it, or any of these little pictures of horses. I don't know why, but I keep running into everything horses lately. I might have to keep those pictures. And not only like when you're looking at this, you have to look craft with your eyes wide open. Okay, so maybe you cut out these pictures and horses are not your thing. Well, you can always frame it with something else over top and then make a little mini collage, which we will get into. So, you know, look at things also that how else you can use those pictures. But keep that in mind when you're going through catalogs, and like this book even has some fun images in here. Like I would cut that whole strip out to use in a book. So there's different things that you may find to cut out and keep for your journals, because stuff like this will also make really cute postage stamps, just cutting out these little pieces. So it depends on the type of book you have. And you may end up reading half of it and only collaging one sheet, but you really need to get 2 done. Okay, I am rambling now. So that is something else I wanted to tell you. So you've got lots of homework. I kept it simple for today because there is a lot to do to get you caught up. But then I wanted to address something else that one of the people that is doing this, Anna, if you're watching, we had talked, or you had messaged me privately about envelopes. Now, in this book, I had put that one envelope I collaged from doing the nesting journal. Where did I put it? Here it is. Okay, so it's tucked in on that second elastic, remember? Well, this one is 2 envelopes that were put together, and I just collaged the whole thing over. And she was asking me how you could save it so that you can have the full pockets. Does that make sense, you guys? Now, in this case, I have 2 reasonably straight envelopes. So I would glue one together, and then the other one I would glue the flap in, right? So this one isn't too bad. Because you would glue it down, and you have the 2 pocket spots here. But by the time you cover this, you are going to lose this part of the envelope. You're not going to be able to go anywhere into there because your collage papers will have closed it up. And in the envelopes that I was working here earlier, they had the pointed flaps. So those flaps go in even further into your envelope, so that by the time you glue all this down, you can't really open this up and get a full envelope. So what I would do in that instance is if I really want to be able to open up these edges on the sides to use as extra tuck spots in my journal, or from the top, whichever way you want to do them, then I would find a piece of book page or plain paper, and I would just glue it. This is not, I think I'm going to have to show you guys by doing. I would extend it all the way to the edge of the envelope, and then I would glue this down in here, just in here, so that technically you have now a full envelope. Does that make sense? It doesn't. I don't think it makes sense. Okay, Anna, if this is as clear as mud, then I'm going to have to do a little tutorial, maybe for our next class. I'll do a little tutorial to show you how you can salvage these whole envelopes so that you don't lose. In this case, it's not a really good example because it's not that much that you're losing, and you really do have 3/4 of the envelope so that you can open it up. But in the case of the ones that have the pointed flap, you do lose quite a bit, and then where it's open, you lose quite a bit of space because you're covering it over with paper. I think I have to save this, and we'll do that another day because that's not making a whole lot of sense. So Anna, just bear with me. I will show you how you can do that. So that's it for this video. I am going to do a quick follow-up video for the week, and because we're already getting into an hour here, and so there will be one more little video, but I am away on holidays for 2 weeks. I imagine it'll take me a little while to get back into it, so it'll be maybe 2.5 weeks before I can actually get back into being on YouTube with doing the Techniques Tuesday. But you will see me here and there, because I'm going on to Manitoba, and I'm going to be sharing some of my experiences with all of you, whether I'm going thrifting with my gal pals or I'm at the scrap meet, because we're kind of a mixed group of scrappers and mixed media. But I will share some of that with you along the way. I might even share going with my aunt on some excursions of thrifting, if I can convince her that it's a good idea. But either way, you will see me one way or another. I will show you some thrifting videos from Manitoba and some creative time in Manitoba. But you've got lots to do, making your ephemera box, making all that ephemera, 50 pieces. Can you imagine? I'm excited for you guys. And I'll get mine done too. Don't worry. And then your 2 collage boards. And yes, so you've got a lot to do. And I hope this was interesting and that you enjoy it so far. Scratch that envelope. We will get back to that. Have yourself a very creative couple of weeks, and I look forward to seeing all of you soon. Bye for now.